Hi everybody, welcome back to the Octave Music Center. Today we are looking at another Journey Instruments guitar. Whereas my last video was on the first class FP412 Parlor collapsible guitar, the one that I've dubbed the guitar you can take virtually anywhere. This is its sibling guitar, the carbon fiber OF660M, or as I like to say, the guitar you can literally take anywhere. So I say that with so much emphasis because in the world of guitars, climate has a lot to do with the stability of the wooden instrument. If you have too little humidity, it can cause the wood to dry out and crack. If you have too much, it can cause the wood to become oversaturated, soften a little bit, and that's when you get the tops that warp upwards or necks that start to twist. So too much is bad, too little is bad. Whereas carbon fiber is literally impenetrable to the interference that climate can have on guitars. I can take this guitar to the deserts of Nevada, where it's dry as a bone and hot as heck. And then I can take it to the Caribbean, where it's tropical and humid. And then, you know what? Just for the giggles, I could take it to the Arctic, and it would still be in incredible shape, which is phenomenal because in a world full of wooden guitars that can be extremely temperamental to the humidity changes, we have a cheat code, basically. Not to mention, when it's collapsed and put in its bag, it can fit in just about any carry-on compartment on any airline or under the seat in front of you as your personal item. So I've talked enough about how the carbon fiber is the better option for somebody who's going to different climates all the time, or traveling, or just for somebody who doesn't want to worry about the upkeep and the maintenance of proper humidification. This is the perfect guitar. This is an incredible instrument, not only in its stability, but in its sound. So let me assemble it for you right now. It'll take a matter of seconds. We'll check how well it kept its tune. Now, I tuned it up before taking it apart. And then once it's all tuned up, if need be anyway, I'm going to talk about some specs, and then I'll give you a sound demo. To assemble the guitar, you got to make sure your strings are all lined up. If your strings are twisted, there's no point assembling it because then your strings are twisted. So when I do this, because I'm right-handed, I like to have this part on my right hand. And all I got to do is give a nice push until I hear that click. And that means it's latched. So the next step is to tighten the adjustment wheel here to my preference. Now I like low action, so I'm going to turn the adjustment wheel until I see the little seal between the neck and the body here. If you can see that. I'm going to turn this until that seals up, and then I'll know it's at the action that I prefer. There we go. That's about perfect. Let's see how well it kept its tune. That's not very bad at all, considering I had just taken the neck off of this guitar. Now I'll be right back. I am going to tune it up precisely, and then I'm going to talk about some specs, starting with the neck and then onto the body, and then I'll give you a sound test. So here it is, assembled and tuned. So let's start with the neck. This is a beautiful carbon fiber neck with locking machine heads, which I'm usually not a fan of locking machine heads because a lot of the times they don't have very long shafts on them, so you can't add extra material from your strings. In this case, however, there is a ton of extra room, and the guys up at Journey who strung it up left a lot of material on there, so you can drop tune or do alternate tunings or open tunings without having to worry about your string kind of flattening out. When you don't have enough material on your machine heads and you try to drop tune, it might just end up completely dropping off entirely. But that's not a worry here. They've left more than enough material for me to go into drop D if I wanted to, for me to go into open D, dadgad, whatever tuning I want to do. I have enough material on these machine heads, and they're locking. So win-win. I'm a big fan. Next up is the nut. We have a 1.75 inch width bone nut. So that's great for strumming, but it's also great string spacing for some fingerstyle action. The scale length from the nut to the saddle is a 24.5 inch measured, and then the fingerboard radius is 16. So you're getting a very nice, not too flat, but not too round radius, so you can strum chords, but if you also wanted to play some lead, you're more than welcome to. And the fingerboard is also carbon fiber. So you have an incredibly strong, incredibly stable neck with great measurements, 14th fret access, so you can still get some nice lead riffs in here if you wanted to. Just a great guitar all around. Not to mention, it does have a string tree, which is great for when you take the neck off. It keeps the strings from flying everywhere. It keeps them under control, so when you put it in the bag, it's not scratching up the body. Just a great all-around construction for the neck and the headstock. Great hardware. Wonderful. On to the body. So the top, the back, and the sides are made out of fiberglass reinforced omnidirectional carbon fiber, as well as your bridge, which has a high break angle, if you can see it there. So the high break angle gives you more of a 45-degree angle, which is really good for sustain and punch. I think it fits perfectly on a carbon fiber guitar, because carbon fiber is a bit brighter, a bit harder than most woods, so you get a brighter tone right off the bat, and that high break angle lets it sustain for days. The saddle is compensated bone, so your intonation is nice and spot on, and your tone is crystal clear. I believe the bridge pins are also made out of carbon fiber, so it gives you a bit of uniformity from the bridge onto the strings in material-wise. I know a lot of people like having, say, ebony bridge pins when they have an ebony bridge. People like to have maybe bone bridge pins when they have a bone saddle. Something that's uniform and consistent, which gives you uniform and consistency in your tone. And here I believe they're carbon fiber pins. So a nice touch, not necessary, but very much welcomed. Now the body itself has some really interesting features to it. I like how the sound hole is up here. You get a bit of the sound to yourself coming up this way, but it also projects nicely outwards. You have this wonderful tummy cut, which you can see is actually almost layered in different depths. I thought that was really cool because they also added a beveled armrest. Now, you might think a tummy cut and a beveled armrest might not be necessary on such a small guitar. But with carbon fiber, it is a little bit heavier than, say, what a spruce mahogany guitar of the same size would be. And the carbon fiber itself feels a bit harder and stiffer than the wood. Having the armrest and the belly cut really makes that transition from a wood, lightweight acoustic to not heavy, but I'd say a meaty weight carbon fiber guitar with different materials and a different feel altogether. It makes it a much more seamless transition, a lot more comfortable, just a wonderful touch that they added in. Next up, the last thing I really want to talk about here is this really cool, it's not a cutaway necessarily, I'd like to call it a carve away, because you still get the full body of the back. But as you can see here, there's a good carved spot for your hand, and it is very effective. You can still get up here without much issue at all. And you know what? The icing on the cake is it comes with a really nice sounding Journey Tech 3-point passive microphone pickup. So there's an output jack on this end pin here, and under the saddle on the inside are 3 points of contact that would fit right about where these 3 fingers are. Similar to a K&K style, similar to our Stonebridge Guitars International pickup. It gives you a purely passive, low gain, but very natural sound. And when I do the sound tests, I will also include direct in, like I did with the FP412 video, so you can hear both the acoustic guitar mic'd up, as well as only the pickup. So without further ado, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. I know everybody just wants to hear how it sounds, but you know, I like to talk about the specs because I'm a geek. So without further ado, let's play some guitar. And there you have it, the Journey Instruments OF660M carbon fiber collapsible travel guitar. The guitar you can take literally anywhere. If you like what you saw, please hit like. If you want to see more, please hit subscribe. I've been Greg from the Octave Music Center. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.